and nematodes, popularly known as threadworms, roundworms or eelworms. There are about 1 lakh species of nematodes all over the world, of which only 20,000 have been described by the scientists. They possess well-developed digestive, reproductive, nervous musculature and excretory systems. Nematodes, however, lack skeleton, circulatory and respiratory systems. Their vermiform body is not segmented. Most plant parasitic nematodes are 0.3 to 2 mm in length and 0.01 to 0.05 mm in diameter. Their reproduction is usually bisexual, but in many species, the egg produces juveniles without fertilization. Each female nematode produces from 100 to 1000 eggs in the soil or plant tissue or into a gelatinous egg sac. Some nematodes retain the eggs within the female body, which after death forms a tough cyst to protect the eggs. Their life cycle is completed in 3 to 5 weeks. Many species of nematodes usually live in large numbers in soil, feeding on its microorganisms, while others feed on plants or other animals, causing various diseases and resultant losses in quality and quantity. There is no plant species or variety on earth which is not parasitized by one or more kinds of nematodes. They are responsible for estimated losses of 8.8% in developed countries and 14.6% in the developing countries of the world. In India, such losses are estimated at rupees 24,210 crores per annum. Majority of plant parasitic nematodes feed externally or internally on the roots or other parts of the plant which are underground. Some of the species affect these parts of the plant which are above ground, like stems, leaves, bud, flower and seed. The above ground symptoms of damage due to root feeding nematodes are similar to those as if there were nutrient deficiency, drought and salinity, etc. The growth of plants is stunted. Their leaves turn yellow or wilt. Branches, flowers and fruits are reduced in number. And in a lush green field, patches of yellow, small or stunted plants are seen. Sometimes shallow-rooted trees like banana, papaya, etc. topple. Symptoms of nematode damage become visible only after the crop has suffered considerable damage. The nematodes feeding on above-ground plant parts produce more specific symptoms like crinkling of leaves, angular lesions on leaves, drying of leaf tips, distortion of stems, and ear heads. The below-ground symptoms of nematode damage are very specific. Short stubby, very few fine lateral roots, excessive branching and discoloration of roots, brownish elongated spots, lesions or peeling of the root cortex, swelling or curling of root tips cause suspicion of nematode damage. What are the nematode-related problems in India?
Let's first take up underground nematode parasites. Root-knot nematodes are widely distributed and cause damage to almost all kinds of crops in fields, orchards and gardens. Their underground symptoms are typical swellings called Gaurs or knots on the roots and other underground plant parts. The above ground symptoms show generally patchy, stunted, chlorotic growth and daytime wilting, etc. Most vegetable crops suffer heavy losses due to root knot disease. Insects of juveniles living in soil enter the young roots and start feeding. The cells in the root tissue enlarge and multiply repeatedly. Most of the root system becomes knotty with numerous galls of various sizes. The uptake and translocation of nutrients and water from soil are inhibited. Many fungal and bacterial pathogens also get entry and cause disease complexes with nematodes.
Such nematodes cannot survive in moist field soil without host plant for more than 1 year. Hence, crop rotation with non-host crops like cereals and mustard provides a good method for managing nematodes in vegetables. Summer plowing of the main field is also recommended. Soil solarization of the area of the nursery beds is extremely useful. Solar heat is trapped under polythene sheet, which increases temperature of the soil. This gives nematodes and other soil-borne pathogens. Application of farmyard manure and other organic materials also suppress root knot nematodes in vegetables.
Transplanting of rice is an occasion and visual treat in India. Rice is the most important crop of the world. Even a small decrease in its production may lead to starvation of many. The root knot disease of rice is prevalent in all rice-growing areas of the world, including most states of India. The root knot nematodes are carried passively to new places through infected rice seedlings, flowing rain and irrigation water, movement of soil containing eggs and bits of infected juice, etc. The infected rice seedlings become short and pale. Their vigor is reduced. When transplanted in main fields, nematode infection is also carried along. The crop's growth is stunted, produce is less, and green quality is poor.
Nematode management for rice crop include crop rotation, soil solarization of nursery beds, summer plowing of main fields, puddling of soil before transplanting, addition of organic matter to soil through green manuring. It is also advisable to raise rice nursery at a site where rice was not grown previously.
Amongst fruits, annual and perennial crops in the tropical region which suffer most are grapevine, peaches, guava, quinoa, pomegranate, banana, and papaya. Not only the roots are gold, secondary invaders like fungi may also enter. In temperate regions, fruits like apples, apricots, plums, strawberries, walnut, etc. suffer losses due to root knot nematodes. In case of groundnuts, roots bear small galls and are excessively branched. Subsequently, fungi also attack these spots. The Kalahasti malady of groundnut is also believed to be incited by nematodes feeding on roots. The reliform nematodes are widespread all over the country. Their females are kidney-shaped. They feed on the roots of most vegetables, pulses, fruits, cotton, castor, and ornamentals. Numerous tiny sticky egg sacs can be seen on the roots of poorly growing plants.
The methods to manage them are more or less similar to those for root knot nematodes. Crop rotation with cereals, summer plowing, and organic amendments can reduce them.
Cyst nematode pests cause damage to large number of legumes, including pulses and vegetables. These nematodes are soil-borne and can survive for long periods in dry soil, even in the absence of host plant.
Nematode management includes crop rotation with cereals, millet, mustard, and non-leguminous crops for 2 to 3 years. In areas with hot summer, deep plowing also reduces their population.
The cereal cyst nematodes cause serious damage to wheat and barley crops all over the world. Small patches of stunted looking plants are seen in the field. The roots become bushy and tiny white females can be seen. The plants have few pillars. Flowering occurs early and grains are few. These nematodes survive in the soil for long periods in the form of cysts, which contains eggs and juveniles of the nematode.
Management methods developed by Indian nematologists include plowing of the field 2 to 3 times at 10 to 15 day intervals in hot summer. Crop rotation with non-host crops like pulses, vegetables, mustard, fenugreek, etc. Sowing of resistant varieties such as wheat, Raj MR1 and barley, Rajkiran.
Earcockle and Tundu diseases of wheat are mainly caused due to sowing of seed contaminated with gall. The leaves of young wheat plants become twisted and have small raised spots. The young nematodes feed on leaves and enter the ovary of the flower. The ovary is converted into a gall and the nematode matures and reproduces in it. Each gall may contain about 20,000 young nematodes which can survive in dry conditions for more than 20 years. In warm, humid weather, the nematodes along with the bacteria causes yellow, slimy rotting of the leaves and earheads. This disease is called Tundu and no grains are formed.
This is one of the easiest diseases to control by sowing of certified seed free of nematode galls. The seed can be cleaned to remove galls by winnowing and floating in a 5% salt solution. The healthy seed settles and is washed in clean water and dried in shade.
The white tip disease of rice is carried with the seeds. Nematodes survive in dry state between rice seed kernel and the husk.
Hot water treatment of rice seed at 50 degrees Celsius for 10 minutes kills the nematode.
The burrowing nematode is a serious pest of plantation crops including coconut, reca nut, pepper vine, betel vine, oil palms, banana and ginger, etc. The juveniles and females of nematode feed and kill cortical cells. Thereafter, move to new cells, thus boring tunnels in the cortex. A variety of fungi also attacks the dead cells and cause extensive damage. These nematodes survive for several months in the soil without host.
It is necessary to avoid planting of infested rhizomes, suckers and seedlings. Infected part of suckers can be pared and hot water treatment can be given at 55 degrees Celsius for 10 minutes.
Mushrooms are fleshy edible fungi. Several species of fungal feeding nematodes cause severe damage to mushrooms. The butter production is delayed and reduced greatly, yield loss to 40 to 100%.
Management methods include keeping hygiene in and around the mushroom houses. The casing material should be treated with steam.
Nematodes in tuberose cause root lesions or typical root galls. Plant growth is reduced and flowers are of poor quality. The folioparasitic nematode also causes deformation of tuberose flowers.
Spray with insecticides has been found to reduce damage.
Cassandra is a popular ornamental flower crop in South India. Nematodes reduce plant growth and very few small flowers are produced.
The nematologists have developed an integrated control strategy.
Potato cyst nematode, pale yellow in color, is very harmful pest, especially in temperate regions. The nematode can persist in soil for over 15 years without food. It has been restricted to Nilgiri hills of South India by preventing movement of sweet potato to other areas.
Management strategy is crop rotation with cereals, beans, carrots or other non-host crops, avoiding potato, tomato, brinjal, etc. for 3 to 4 years. Growing of resistant potato varieties like Kufri Swarna.
Nematodes in citrus plantations cause decline of their growth, Foliage becomes pale, leaves become smaller and fall prematurely, fruit number and size are reduced, roots reveal dirty portions covered with soil particles.
Rough lemons and trifoliate oranges are resistant to the citrus nematode and provide good material for rootstocks.
Every coin has two sides. Similarly, not all nematodes are our enemies. Some of them are parasites of insect pests and, with the help of their symbiotic bacteria, can kill many insect pests within 1 or 2 days. Some nematodes can also kill mosquitoes. Many bacterial-feeding nematodes in soil can also help us in evaluating and monitoring soil health and environmental pollution.
Intense research efforts of Indian nematologists have enabled identification of the key nematode problems. Nematological research and teaching in India began in an organized manner only after 1960s with the realization of the presence and economic importance of a number of nematode pests very often associated with poorly growing crops of agriculture, horticulture and plantation. The division of nematology was set up at IARI, that is, Indian Agricultural Research Institute in 1966.
IARI has been the pioneer in nematological research. When the whole country was more concentrating on fungal and the insect diseases, it was IARI that understood that there are a lot of organisms living in the soil that affect the root, and as a consequence of it, there's a slow decline in yield. Unlike the pest that eats the crop overnight and causes calamity, nematode causes a gradual decline in yield, and farmer realizes it only after a season or two. And unfortunately, unlike in the case of other pests, controlling this is very difficult, and the chemicals that are used are health hazards. Therefore, it is difficult to manage, and we have to find out biological control systems or disease-resistant material for that. First of all, we created the human resource talent needed in nematological research in this country by starting the postgraduate education in IARI, and we were one of the first to offer master's degree and 5 postgraduate degrees leading to PhD in the area of nematology. Apart from that, we conducted national survey, just like collecting the soil survey. We conducted national-wide survey and mapped the various nematode population affecting different crops in the various agroecological zones. Then they were identified, and we created our own herbarium of both the affected plant material as well as the nematode collection. The taxa collection is one of the largest that we have here. In the years ahead, there is going to be more pressure on cultivation of vegetables, flowers, and very many other crops. And this will be part of our diversification, and organic farming is also one area. All these things, in our opinion, will be leading towards more nematological problems. And also, when you grow ornamentals under the protected agriculture without the natural soil, in synthetic soil, where the soil is kept like that wet for a number of years, I expect that that will lead to decline primarily arising out of the nematode infestation. So we have to look at nematology from crop production point of view as well as from the quarantine point of view, because we will have to protect our crops both from import and export and ensure only good material is traded. So it has a lot of implications.
Researches were also undertaken by various other institutions all over India. In 1977, the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, sponsored an all-India coordinated research project on plant nematode pests and their control.
Now, we in nematology do all kinds of research activities on these nematodes. We try to study what kind of nematodes they are, what kind of diseases they cause, how much damage they cause, and what we should do to control them. We have different kinds of methods, biological methods, physical methods, cultural methods, and we are also modifying plants genetically by breeding or by biotechnology, and we try to reduce the damage due to these nematodes. We are teaching MSc and PhD students. We conduct training for the plant protection specialists of the different states and different government bodies and private bodies, and we also do some extension work. We carry this knowledge to the farmer. We show the symptoms to the farmer. Now we ourselves go to the farmers' field. We have state agricultural departments. They have experts, plant protection experts. We have Krishi Vigyan Kendras. They have plant protection specialists. We give training to all of them, and these are the people who go to the villages, and the village or the farmers come to them, then they are showing them. But then sometimes the farmers come to us also directly. We conduct some melas, Krishi melas. The farmers come in large numbers to them. We have field days. We call the farmers, invite the farmers, and they come and see for themselves what are nematodes, what kind of damage they are causing, and what are the methods we adopt to manage them. We suggest some very basic measures to the farmers. That look, when he is taking one crop after the other in the same field year after year, and similar kinds of crops he is taking, the nematode is getting food all through the year, and it is multiplying. And it increases in numbers, and within a few years it becomes a pest. Basically, we can broadly classify crops into two categories, monocots and dicots. Now, majority of the nematodes, which prefer dicots, do not prefer monocots, and vice versa. Those which prefer the monocots, they don't prefer the dicots, and so on. Now, if we give a gap in between these crops, say 1 year we grow on the monocots, the next year we grow dicots, then these nematodes which are multiplying on the monocots, they will starve, they will not get food for a long period, and their numbers will go down. Then the other methods we apply, and if the problem goes out of control, then we have to suggest some nematicides. Now, nematicidal chemicals are a bit poisonous chemicals. They are also expensive, not available in the country. But in very expensive crops or in some situations, when we really want a nematode-free crop, in that case, we have no option but to apply a nematicide.
We may not be able to totally eliminate nematodes, but its growth can be checked. The economic losses can be practically reduced and made very insignificant. So technology is available. Our scientists have perfected technology for different crops, all the crops practically. So farmers need not worry. Only thing is that they have to be vigilant because it's a hidden kind of enemy. So what he has to do once he sees the passive growth, stunted growth of the crop, he has to take his soil sample to the various laboratories available, whether it is with the university or now we have Krishi Vigyan Kendras in practically every district. There are more than 300 Krishi Vigyan Kendras in different parts of the country, and they are a district level organization. So you can take a small sample where he suspects that this kind of growth, stunted growth, poor growth is because of the nematode. You can take to that laboratory and they can test and tell him that this is because of the nematode or maybe some other problem. Or other thing is he can invite the scientists or the extension worker from the agriculture department to visit their field, and they can also see and tell him whether it is because of the nematode or something else.
With the intensive cropping and irrigation facility, and because of monocropping, the nematode problem is increased year after year. The ultimate aim is to give the practices or the technology to the farmers so that by reducing the input cost, the farmers can increase the crop produce by about 30 or 35%. Now for that, we need to strengthen in terms of education, research and extension education in the field of nematology.
Intense research efforts of Indian nematologists have enabled identification of the key nematode problems and demonstrated the fact that these unseen enemies can cause enormous quantitative and qualitative losses of our crops. Methods have been developed to manage nematodes under Indian farming conditions.
Faced with the paucity of economical and environmentally safe nematicides, acceptable resistant varieties, potent and mass culturable biocontrol agents, and even the lack of awareness of the farmer about the nematode pests and methods to control them.
Efforts are on to find ways and means
to get rid of these unseen enemies.